What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. To those of you who recently just subscribed from John's channel, I just want to thank you guys for your support and everything. Also want to thank John again. If you don't know, he invited me onto a show last Friday on Flipping Ain't Easy. I appreciate that. It was a stand-up thing to do, and I appreciate the support from him. So if you haven't heard of him, go check him out. Flipping Ain't Easy. And if you came there because of him, thank you again for your support, and I hope that we can continue to build a relationship in this community of online sellers and entrepreneurs. Today's video, I'm gonna get right into it. I ain't gonna waste no time. I still got some stuff to do anyway. But today's video is gonna be based on what I think there's a lot of aspects to it. It's serious, but I don't know yet how serious and what's going on, you know, what exactly may be involved, right? So let me get this to stop shaking. So, you've seen the thumbnail, and it's really not clickbait, right? It's really not. It might be a little hyperbole, but whatever. But it's not. And so what we're going to talk about today is this mass exiting from eBay being sellers' only platform, okay? There are people leaving. Listen. You can't watch reselling content on YouTube today without hearing about this, okay? All the bigger channels are talking about it. All the smaller channels are talking about it. And there's just a lot going on right now, okay? So I'm just going to name some names right now. My Boring Reseller Life. Bo Johnson, I think is his channel. I know his first name is Bo. I think it's Johnson. Dixon Pickens. I don't know if you know Lindy. She just came back. Her last video, she was talking about how reselling is not going to be her only thing. Who else? I know Josh Gold been talking about this, and I'm sure there's other channels. Of course, I can't watch everybody, and then some of the stuff, some people's videos just stop being recommended to me. So unless I'm thinking about it and go, and of course John been talking about it. So what are these guys talking about? So there's a few things going on here. The main and number one thing is the sharp decline in sales. The sharp decline in sales. And we're not talking about something that makes sense maybe due to certain factors, right? You can say the economy, but like Josh had pointed out, and like I had been thinking anyway, because I actually sell on multiple platforms, it's not like this on Amazon and Walmart. It's just not. And I am not experiencing, and it's weird because look, let me see. As of right now, and if I look, and Josh Galt was saying something about sell-through rate, the sell-through rate of your items have an effect on how eBay is showing those to people, and it being part of the, the algorithm. There may be something to that. So as of right now, I really can't explain this honestly. So my 31 day, my sales are up 21.4%, okay? 21.4%. Let's go to traffic. My traffic is up. Well, my impressions are down, okay? My impressions are down 20%. I'm under 1 million impressions, like 957,000. But my page views are up 3.4%. My quantity sold is up 12.1%. My conversion rate actually went up. It had dropped down to 3.8% or something like that. It's back up to 4%, which is usually about where it stays. My top 20 search slot impressions are up 4.7%, but the rest of search slot impressions and non-search impressions are down. The rest of the slot impressions are down 3.7%, and my non-search impressions are down 23.2%. So when people are searching for the items that I sell, they're actually finding them more often now. But when they're not searching, they're not. And those numbers used to actually be up. So while I do have certain numbers down, overall I'm up, and overall in sales I'm up. But here's the thing though, for me, it don't feel like it. Which is why I'm surprised, and which is why I said I really don't understand it, because I really don't understand why my sales, so I've been working on raising my average sale price, right? But as I'm looking at it right now, and it says my average sale price is up 8.3% too. So, I'm sure that has something to do with it. So maybe overall, because I'm selling items that have a higher average sell price, I'm selling less of them, but it still contributes to my overall sales being up. I guess that makes sense, but it really don't feel like it. I'm not even gonna lie. It doesn't feel like my sales should be up 20 something percent. But unless eBay's lying to me over the last 31 days, they're saying that it is. Now, the items I sell are in the health and beauty, mostly health and beauty category. Very few electronics and home goods, some electronics and home goods. Higher sell through for the most part, most of them. So I don't know. All I know is this: there's a common denominator in the sellers that I've heard so far that are having these issues with their sales. Okay. My boring reseller life, he sells a lot of clothes, a lot of collectible stuff, hats. So in those categories, which can be slower, right? Slower sell through. Josh, almost the same thing. Dixon Pickens, clothing. Bo, clothing. Lindy's a different story, of course, and her reasons are different. So that I really can't include her, but I included her because of the fact that you have this group now of people that includes more than just them, the ones that I named. This group of people now who are going, some of them outright just saying, look, I got to do something else because this one thing ain't working the way it used to, especially if it's just eBay. But then also others like Dixon Pickens, who really wasn't a proponent of cross listing, saying, look, I got to do something else. So when you have people who are going against previously established principles, which there's nothing wrong with any of this. Okay, let me say that first and foremost. As a business owner, you have to make decisions that are going to be in the best interest of your business long term. And if that means going against a formerly established principle, then unless it's, something like ethical or whatever, but I mean, just like, hey, I don't really do this way. Well, if I got to change that up for my business to survive, well, guess what? Now I do this way, right? So that's just smart business. But when you have people doing this and saying, look, man, this ain't working no more. I know how it used to be. I see how it's going, and I can't sit around and wait for it to change, because if so, I might end up losing. Even Bo, he was talking about, not just having eBay, having things like affiliates and doing other stuff, just having other sources of income. So nobody wants to, at this moment, depend on, one, just reselling, two, just eBay. Now, I ain't going to add Amazon and Walmart into this category, into this discussion, because like I said, there's no issues there as far as I can see. As far as I'm having anyway, I'm not having any problems. So you have this group of individuals saying, look, not only is this platform giving me a lot of issues, but now it's getting to that point where it's just like, I need to hit the button to I ain't gonna say panic, but to definitely make some drastic adjustments or changes. Some people saying wait until after Q4, but here's the thing: what if you wait that long and you don't get the results that you need to happen? What if you wait all of those months not to get what you need? Well, now you're in an even more precarious situation. And so as I listen to Dixon talk about how he's going to, Marcus, his first name, but how he's going to start I don't know if he said he was definitely doing it yet. I don't know. I was listening to him, and I know and his video kept like buffering, and I don't know if it was my Wi-Fi or the video itself, but I know he was saying basically if he's not doing it 100%, he's pretty much there where he's going to probably start cross-posting the Poshmark. We already know my boring reseller life, been making videos now for weeks and weeks now about that and about, the success he's been having with that. So here's a problem for eBay, right? You have influencers who have a good following who are all coming together and putting out this same message. eBay is not it. At least not right now. We need to go somewhere else. And that most likely place, especially for these sellers, because they sell clothing and in these categories, that place seems like it's going to be Poshmark for a lot of them. So that's a problem for eBay because it's spreading like wildfire. You can't really listen to somebody's video without hearing this, right? You really can't, man. So the question is, what are you going to do? And this begs another question. When you see in the title of someone's video, full-time reseller, you got this sensational aspect of reselling like it's this glorious thing. But I'm going to tell you, it's not this glorious thing. For me, it's not glorious at all. It's something that I do because it gives me the freedom to do other things in my life. And I've said this from the get-go, and I'm going to continue to say it. It is not my end game plan. This is a stepping stool to do some other things. I'm going to do it for as long as I need to do it. That's my goal. I can't give you like a definitive on that because I'm not there. But reselling is a stepping stone. Help me to build capital to do some other stuff. How long that may be or how long that may take, I don't know. I don't plan on stopping in the near future, that's for sure. But when you start hearing people say things like who never really advocated for cross-posting, well, look, I got to start cross-posting. Who say, oh, I'm a full-time reseller, but now they're not full-time resellers because they're doing other stuff to make money. They resell, yeah, and they're successful reselling. But I mean, full time is full time, right? If you're doing something else, well, then it's taken away from, it's not full time no more. Again, not saying that there's anything wrong with that. What I'm saying is you got to pay attention, right? When you're on a highway and you're driving, you see signs and the signs tell you which direction you need to go. Have you ever been driving and you just been like la la and la la land? You know how sometimes you're on autopilot and then you realize, damn it, I missed the exit, right? And then you got to go, unless you find one of those little turnoffs they tell you not to turn on and you turn back around. But then it takes you way out your way. You gotta readjust, and now you way out the way, it puts you behind. Well, something like that going on right now where there's a lot of signs that are pointing to a lot of sellers or resellers having to make some drastic adjustments, or it's going to take you a while to get back on track, if you even get back on track. And these guys that are making these videos are those signs, right? It's the things that's happening on the eBay platform itself. And I'm singling eBay out because this is the source of these issues. And also, I think it got something to do with the categories. Now, whether that is related to what Josh was talking about as far as sell-through rate, or it has something to do with oversaturation. I think there's a lot going on there. You know, when you put out content over the course of years, in a specific category to, who knows, man, probably millions of people over the years, right? This is one of the easiest categories to get started on one of the easiest platforms to get started on, right? Clothing, hats, things like that, collectibles, eBay. Almost zero barrier to entry. All you got to do is be able to go to a Goodwill or a Salvation Army or something, right? When you put out that much content over that long a time, what do you expect is going to happen? And the thing is, you never know if the market will correct itself, and if it does, how long it will take for that to kind of tamper off. Even Tech and Sports, everybody's been talking about him lately. I mean, he's getting out of it, and I'm sure he has his reasons, but he's even said that he sees a difference. So, like, when you think about when he started up to now, there's definitely, the whole atmosphere is different. The whole atmosphere is different. Nowhere near the amount of content back then that there is now. Nowhere near the amount of information was available. How to get started, what to buy, where to buy it from. I mean, it's to the point where the thrift stores are raising their prices and making it harder for you to make a profit. That's where it's at. So it took time for it to happen, but this is the natural consequence of that content being put out. And so in some ways, and it's not totally all of it, but in some ways, what's happening on eBay, especially in those categories, is the natural consequence of so many people trying to get into a category that is, quote unquote, easy to get started in and, quote unquote, easy to make money in. And look, if I was a new reseller, or if I was advising somebody new in reselling who's just getting started, unless they had something very specific, I mean, you know, maybe they're doing it part-time, they want to make some extra money, that's cool. But if somebody really was trying to make this a business and really, I would recommend they didn't start in clothing. Unless you got like a hookup and something exclusive that you can really, really like high sell through. I wouldn't recommend that they start in clothing right now. I don't know what I would recommend as far as to start, but it would definitely not necessarily be in the used clothing category. It's a little harder to get in the new stuff and have to worry about Veros so far. And I mean, there's other things you can sell on eBay. There's thousands and thousands of other things, but clothing right now, unless you got money to push and to get started with high sell through items and you got the sourcing and you can get a bigger store, man, you might be spinning your wheels. You might be spinning your wheels. We'll see if this is just a phase of eBay or if this is going to be a continuing issue. But the fact that you have these resellers, bigger stores, bigger platforms, putting this out there that, hey man, I can't do this. I got to go to another platform. Yeah, I didn't used to advocate for cross posting, but now I got to do it because the survivability of my business is dependent upon it. Josh talking about how he's going through these days of just like poultry sales. So the question is, what to do going forward? Is it, do you panic? Oh, I want to go back to what I was saying about these, the videos that still put like full-time reseller in the title. I believe at this point it's definitely safe to say that it's probably a little disingenuous, right? Maybe. And the reason I say that is that with so many people who actually have the amount of inventory and the experience to make money on eBay in these categories, saying that it's just not working, doing just this, I don't see no glory in that. And like I was saying, I don't think it's glorious. There's nothing glorious about this. I like doing it. I actually love doing it because I love selling stuff. But even when I say like, I got other things that I do to make some extra money, but I don't advocate that a person, look, I don't think that you need to be a full-time reseller to be considered successful at reselling. I don't know why we think that when you see this title, full-time reseller, in a video thumbnail like that, that's something. Like, honestly, is that person really a full-time reseller? And if so, how good are they doing? They might show you a couple what sold videos, which is part of the problem that you probably having right now, right? In some of these categories, stop showing stuff. Stop. You can't give somebody something educational and helpful without showing them what it is that you're making money off of. And you ain't got to feed into the people who say, oh, why can't we see? Because you can't see because it is. This is why you can't see, because it tanks the market. It causes issues. But we got to get away from giving so much credence and so much, I don't know, man, just like because somebody puts full-time reseller like that validates them in some way. And I'm not saying this to knock nobody. The only reason I'm saying it is because now it just makes you think more about what does it mean when someone says they're a full-time reseller. If people who are actually full-time resellers are telling you, I am struggling, or is getting kind of, getting a little crazy and I got to start doing some other things, some of the things that I said I wouldn't do, some of the things that I really didn't want to do, but I have to do it so my business can survive. I have to start going out and doing other things to make money. I got to look at affiliate stuff and I got to look at this and I got to do that to add revenue to my bottom line, because if I do just this, it's not going to work. What does that tell you about someone claiming to be a full-time reseller? I don't think that we need to give that as much weight as maybe you might have once gave it. Here's the thing. There's no shame in not being a full-time reseller. It's okay, man. It's okay. I do not advise anybody to become a full-time reseller. Just resell to make some extra money, pay down your debts, live a good life. If you got a job you don't like, maybe get another job that you actually do like. There's no reason to do it, okay? Don't watch these videos. Do not watch these videos and think that this is some glorious thing you're going to hop in and you're going to be making all this money. It's not. Listen, it is not going to happen. It takes work. It takes time. And you're going to have a lot of problems. If you don't like problem solving, if you're not the type of person that likes all of the responsibility being on you, if you're not the type of person who can deal with all that pressure, who's good at being creative to come up with solutions to things, listen, man, there's a lot that goes into it that you do not see on these videos. It's more than a bolo. It's more than a what sold video. It's more than a good inventory system. It's more than that. It's more than that. And it's constantly changing. It's constantly evolving. What this industry is going through right now, it's not going anywhere, but it's going to require people to change, evolve their ideas, change their mind on certain things, evolve their process, change their sourcing habits, change methods and everything. And the ones that can do that will survive. And what their business looks like on the other end may not reflect anything what their business looked like in the beginning, but that's a good thing because they were willing to make the adjustments necessary for their businesses to survive. eBay, I wouldn't say eBay is necessarily the problem. eBay does have some problems, but things are still selling. eBay has things they got to fix, but it's not just eBay. It's not. It is probably, I don't know what the word will be, an amalgamation of things. I think you can use that word, you know, and some of it is, I think, the reseller community's fault, and some of it isn't, right? I don't honestly think that the economy has as much to do with it as people may be saying. I don't, because this isn't across the board. You're not seeing this happen on other platforms like Walmart and Amazon. I'm not. So as of right now, I don't think the economy is as big a factor as some think. I think it has to do with oversaturation and just the eBay platform itself, the issues that it has, the fact that it's losing buyers. Look, we already seen the report. eBay lost millions and millions of buyers, right? The reason the revenue was up was because they charged us for promoted listings. So that has to, what you're seeing is the natural consequence of those buyers being gone and an increase in sellers and inventory. So on the one hand, you have less buyers, and on the other hand, less buyers, and on the other hand, you have more sellers and more inventory. So what do you think is going to happen when supply starts to outweigh demand by a lot, especially in categories in which are typically lower sell-through or slower sell-through, right? What do you think is going to happen? It's going to get slower. So you couple that with the issues that eBay has as far as the platform itself, and now you got what's happening now. But I think we need to pay attention to these signs, man. People, it's okay though not to survive just on eBay or depend just on eBay. It's okay to do eBay and another platform if you want. It's okay. It's okay to work and do eBay, or to do eBay and have some affiliate stuff and do YouTube. It's okay. I don't know why sometimes people make these videos and they say it apologetically, like they just let the world down or something, or their viewers down, because now all of a sudden they're not a full-time reseller. Like, what is that? You're an entrepreneur. You're trying to run a business. You're trying to survive. And you got to do whatever is necessary. There's no need to be apologetic for doing what you got to do to grow your business, to keep it alive, and to make money and feed your family. That's why I think you should, I don't know, man. I think you put yourself in a bind when you just try to make it seem like, oh, I'm a full-time reseller and this is all I do. All right, well, that may change one day later on down the road, you know? It might change, man. It might change. Then you're going to feel like, you know, you let people down when you really didn't. Here, I want to show y'all something real quick. All right, so this is Terapeak, and these are the top categories that they got over the last 30 days. All data is from the last 30 days. Okay, so here you got action figures, and look at that sell-through rate, 6%. You got athletic shoes, 8%. You got books up there, but look at that sell-through. It's only 1.83%, right? You got 57,899,616 listings and only a search volume of 6.3 million. And if you sell books, what do you think you going through right now? What do you think is happening right now if you sell books with that type of with those types of numbers? Anyway, let's keep going. CGI individual cards, 6%. Coats, jackets, and vests is at 4%. The search is actually higher than the active listings, and that probably is going to continue to go up because we're going into fall and winter. Of course, cell phones and smartphones, 17%. Look at that. 543,000 active listings, and 5.5 million searches. You ain't gonna hold on to none of that too long. Look at the comics and graphic novels. 3.3% sell through, right? You got 10.5 million active listings, but only 4.8 million searches. Contemporary manufacture, 5%. You got 4.2 million active listings, 5 million searches. Dresses, 2.62% sell through. You got 6.3 million active listings, 5.3 million searches. Okay. What's that? Dolls and doll play sets, 6%. You got 2 million listings and 5 million searches. DVDs and Blu-rays, 5%. You got 9.9 million active listings, but only 4.7 million searches. Golf clubs ain't doing that bad, 8%, but golf clubs usually don't do that bad depending on what they are. Tops and women's clothing, 3.24%. You got 10.6 million active listings, but only 5.8 million searches. T-shirts, look at that, 4.93%. You got 7 million active listings and 7.8 million searches. So you actually got more searches, but not by a lot. Then you got trading cards, video games. Video games is pretty high, of course, as you would expect, at 16%. And you actually got 3.7 million searches and only 481,000 active listings. Vinyl records, low, 2.69%, right? You got 9.1 million active listings, but only 3.6 million searches. More video game stuff over here, same thing. Women's bags, not that bad. Wristwatches. All right, so that's that. Okay, so those were just the top categories that they're showing. You can kind of use Terapeak and go through and look, but I just want you to think about this. When you have, look at some of the numbers on that, right? When you got that many, when you have like an exponential amount of listings over the amount of searches. That's just searches. That don't even mean what people are going to buy. I mean, you can tell what people is going to buy by the sell-through rate. Sell-through rate gives you that percentage. And now, of course, that I don't know if that's going to be, it's probably going to be a mix of what? New, used, and all that, different conditions, different types. There's a lot that goes into that. But on a whole, those categories, it's going to be rough. It's going to be rough. Those percentages are low. And you're in a red ocean of competition. What do you think is going to happen if you're selling in those categories? What do you think is going to happen? And then you have people that have been teaching in groups and stuff, the best ways to source, the best ways to list, this and that. I mean, listen, you're at a huge disadvantage coming in as a newbie and you don't really know what's going on. You're at a huge disadvantage if you don't know where to source, how to source. You're at a huge disadvantage if you continue to try to get into the same lane that all this traffic is moving in. In my opinion, I would not start with the same thing that everybody continues to talk about on YouTube. I just wouldn't. It's going to be a struggle, man. If you got some stuff sitting around the house, cool. But you got to think, you're going to put time, money, and effort into this. So it's like swimming against the current. You have this current of just people coming in and it's like a gold rush, right? But for fool's gold. Because everybody think they're going to make all this money doing this, and it's just so easy because you got to remember, people want easy, or what they think is easy. Oh, it's easy to go to the thrift and find this. It's easy to do shirts. It's easy to do used clothes. It's easy. They want easy. So the thing that you don't want to do is get into the easy categories, the easy inventory. You don't want to do easy. The harder, I was talking to John about this right before the show last week. How he had went, how he went from what he was selling and he went to selling the larger items. And he always talks about how he hated selling larger items. It was just like, I don't want to deal with the boxes. I don't want to deal with nothing related to shipping the bigger items. But that's the way he went. And I was like, basically, I was like, look, I don't know if you did it on purpose or not, but it's smart to look and see, like, I'm gonna go over here where there's less resistance, because we know the majority of sellers are not going to want to sell these larger items. They're just not going to want to do it. They don't want to deal with the returns. They don't want to deal with none of it. The shipping, and a lot of them probably just can't, right? They're going to, yeah, it'll probably be a crap show. And I just thought that was a smart thing to do, man. Whether it was haphazard, whether, you know, he ain't think about it that deep. When you look back at it in retrospect, and he got to say to himself, you know, it was a good decision. It's working for him now. And I doubt that that's going to be an area that he has to worry about becoming oversaturated. Plus, he doesn't put all his business out there smartly and rightfully so, right? He doesn't. But that's just smart to go into an area where there's not as much competition, where there's not a billion videos you can watch showing you what to get, how to get it, how to list it, how to do this, how to do that. I'm gonna go over here where not that many people are into. I'm gonna find this inventory. I'm gonna set up my processes. I'm gonna make a deal with this shipping service, which is FedEx, what he uses, and I'm gonna get everything in line. And this is how I'm gonna make my money, and it's working for him. I think that's very, very smart, man. Very, very smart. And those are the things that I think you're gonna have to do. You gotta listen. Reselling itself, or selling itself, I think, is a foolproof business when it comes to failing, if you're willing to evolve and change. I really don't think you can fail if you're willing to evolve and change and not necessarily go with the current. You got to go against the current, or better yet, swim out of it. Get into your own lane. Find you a blue ocean to get into. But don't keep going the same way as everybody else, trying to sell the same things everybody else is trying to sell in the same categories. Just listen, man, what we seeing is in huge part due to the amount of content that's been put out over the years in these specific categories. And I definitely commend all of these sellers who talking about getting revenue in other ways, cross-posting and going to other platforms, because what else would they do? Like, are they just going to sit there and just keep doing what they're doing, knowing that it's probably going to lead to failure? But this is almost as close as you can get to a business in which you can't fail if you're willing to make these changes, make these pivots. Things take time, which is why you need to do a SWOT analysis, and you should be able to see these things coming, these threats that can be to your business, so that you can plan ahead and be able to have the time to pivot. A train doesn't stop as soon as, you know, what they call them, the engineer? I don't know. They call people that drive trains engineers. But whether he pushing the brake, pulling the brake, I don't know. Whatever he do, it don't stop right then. That thing got so much momentum, it's going to take some time, all right? And it's the same way with your business. If you got a decent sized business, you can't just stop and pivot on a dime, which is why larger companies always do these SWOT analysis, always do these things where they look out and they project 10 years from now, where do we see what do we see in the landscape of our industry? What do we see with technology? Where do we see this going? Where do we see that going? And what can we start doing now to prepare for that? This is the same way you got to look at reselling. You got to look at your reselling business. Where do you see yourself being if you continue to sell and use clothing category? Can you survive? You can. But it might not be the same way that you used to be able to survive. You might have to do other things. You might have to do it a different way. You might have to sell different types of items. You might have to go to different categories. You might have to be the person who didn't like selling bigger stuff, and now you got to sell larger items. Now you got to find out new ways to source. Well, that stuff takes time, and you got to give yourself time. I just wanted to make this video to talk about that, because I swear to goodness, man, the last few days, this is all I've been hearing from other YouTubers. And it's just like, there's a reason for that. There's a reason for that. And I wonder how many people are really going to pay attention and take action now. If you want your business to survive, you got to take action now. And that doesn't necessarily mean changing everything you do. That doesn't necessarily mean that. But it definitely probably means going outside your comfort zone, maybe starting to do some things you didn't want to do before, didn't like doing before, wasn't advocating for before, selling items you may have not wanted to sell before, finding other sources, things like that. there's a way to do it. There's a way to go about it. It's not the end of the world, but I'll tell you this. If you don't start making changes now, and if you don't start following these signs, you might not be able to get back on track, and you might actually fail in your business when you didn't have to. It's almost fail-proof. There's so many ways to do reselling, so many ways. That's the great thing about it, is that there are so many categories, so many ways that you can source, so many platforms that you can do it on. They all take work. They all take time and effort. And so, but if you put that stuff in, you can do it. And also, again, you don't have to just depend on reselling. Forget this full-time reseller stuff. Let's just get that out of our mind. Okay, we're all just sellers, entrepreneurs, trying to make some money, trying to build a business. And if that's reselling right now, it is. But who knows, a year or two, 5 years from now, it might not be. But that's okay. Let's just enjoy the process. But you got to pay attention to these signs. Pay attention to what's happening. And don't just keep banging your head thinking that you're going to get through the wall, because you might not. There's something going on, guys. And if you don't listen, you're going to get left behind, okay? So do me a favor. Tell me what you're experiencing down in the comments below. How is it going for you? What are you planning on doing about it? Are you just going to give up? Were you not a proponent of cross-posting, but now you got to? Did you only like selling in these categories, but now with the issues, maybe you got to branch out? And what do you think about that? Do you think that being a full-time reseller is some badge of honor that people can wear, and that because somebody says that gives them more credibility? I'm not saying that to say that people who are full-time resellers and say they are don't have credibility. Not saying that at all. All I'm saying is, because of the way, when you listen to people and they say, I'm going to start doing this and I'm going to look to make money here and there and there. Well, what is that telling you about what's going on in their business, in the environment that we sell in the community, right? What is that telling you? That's telling you that it ain't as easy and there's more to it than meets the eye, which is fine. But we gotta be straight up with each other, right? Gotta be straight up with each other. So, look, my goal ain't just to do reselling. I'll let you know if I'm doing something else, I'm gonna do something else. Don't matter. As of right now, this is all I'm doing, but this ain't all I want to do. I do have other ways, which I'm gonna make another video about eventually, how I do bring money in that's not related to reselling, but how I use my reselling money to make thousands of dollars extra, which actually pays for some of the softwares and things I use. And all I do is just let my money sit there. We'll talk about that more in another video. But do me a favor, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so that you're notified next time I upload another video. Also, if you have any questions, drop them in the comments below, or you can join the group. The link's in my description or something like that. Because in that way I can actually have a conversation with you, because there's like a feature where you can get on a video call. I've done it a few times with a few people already. I don't mind doing it as long as it ain't too long. So do that. But yeah, I'll check y'all out again later on this week.